Let's go.
Hello and welcome back to another video, everybody. It's your host with the most, Ahdontron from Nerd Trots, giving you another anime movie review. This episode, I have to give thanks to War Chiefs 94 on Twitter, who gave me this suggestion for this movie. The title is called Mirai. It's a movie that came out in 2018, and you can easily find it on Netflix. That's where I found it. You may be able to find it on Amazon and elsewhere, but if you have a Netflix account, you're good to go. On that note, quick synopsis of this movie, which you'll easily find anywhere else, is basically the story of a young boy who's having to learn and cope with a new addition to the family. A young baby sister. And through certain events that happens, which I will discuss, the boy learns the importance of this. Now, just like before in all my other previous videos, for the most part, if you don't want any spoilers, skip ahead. You'll see the timestamp in the description below, and you can jump right to the end where I'll get to my review and my highs and lows without the spoilers. But for those who'd like to know the story more in depth, stick through. I'm going to recant my rendition. On that note, so we start off with the introduction to a couple together, and we quickly grasp that it's going to be the father and the mother of this story. You see them in this house together, they have a dog, and before I go into anything more, the house, I'm gonna add, it looks small in comparison because they do an overhead shot into the neighborhood, panning onto the house, and it looks like a very small house, but as you see very quickly, it's a uniquely designed house. It's kind of modern style. Like when you first walk into the house, you have this play area, the living room space, and so forth like that. And then it goes up a small stairway, not like a tri-level, but kind of like a bi-level. And there's an open garden in the middle of the house. And then they go up another small stairway, and then there's your kitchen and living space, and then it goes up into the sleeping areas. So it's kind of just like escalates up. Very narrow, but very close and comfy. Doesn't seem like it's something that you wouldn't enjoy living in, but it's very modern style at the same time. On that note, they're fast forwarding to the introduction of our main character, Kun, who's a four-year-old little boy. At which point, when you really get truly introduced to Kun, is like he's playing with his trains. You meet his grandmother, and they announce that his little sisters can be coming home with their parents. So it's going to be his first time meeting his little sister. And you could already tell they're really focusing on the child tendencies here, because he's being a little bit rebellious. They kind of have to try to trick him into doing things like cleaning up, make it seem like it's fun, but he doesn't do it. So if anybody has kids or dealt with kids for a while, you know exactly what I mean. They bring back his little sister. He seems to like her a lot at first, but then they do a little montage shortly after, and that goes from I like my sister to I hate my sister. Because now he's seeing that his mom is being drawn to his sister more often. His father's there. And his father actually stopped working so that he could help at home. He'll do side jobs and whatnot, but he's pretty much going to be the caretaker of the house so that the mother can go back to work right away. But the son's not caring for that. He wants the mom. He wants the attention. And it gets to the point where there's conflict between the parents. At first, it seems like it's between the mother and Kun about the baby. And that's he has his first outburst, where he doesn't want to do what his mother is telling him to do. He wants the attention, and he's blaming his sister. And at one point, he grabs one of the toy trains, and he goes to hit his sister in the head. He gets stopped, and the mother scolds him, and then he starts crying, and he runs out, and he goes into the yard. And for a brief moment, the oak tree, if I remember correctly, it's an oak tree, in the yard glows. The yard completely changes. Now it's like a larger field, but with buildings around it, multiple benches. He meets a stranger, a grown man, who starts talking to Kun and tells Kun, like, I understand where you're at, kid. I've been there. I've dealt that. And the kid's like, who are you? He's like, you can call me Prince. I was here first, much longer before you. And then he's like, and then you came along. You ruined it. They used to shower me with treats and food, and now I get the generic brand stuff, and like I don't even get pats on the head anymore. And as you're listening to him, I'm like, dude, you're the dog. And this appears to Coon too, because Coon like lifts up the man's jacket to see that there's a tail there, and he rips the tail off, and he sticks the tail on himself. And in that moment, he transforms into like a half dog, half boy hybrid, and starts running around the house, playing around. And eventually, that fades away, and the parents are like, I don't even know what happened with you. What's wrong with you, Coon? And he's like, oh, nothing. I became Yuko, because that's the dog's name, Yuko. And they're like, okay. He's like, are we good? And Coon's like, yeah, we're good. By the way, Yuko needs better food. And the dad's like, well, fine. We'll go back and get him the better food then. And he does it. So you think that's okay at first. Then the next incident happens, which is they have to celebrate a holiday, which is like Girls' Day, Girls' Celebration Day. And they put up like these dolls as a gesture for the future of the little girl. And if they don't put away the dolls by a certain day, for every day the set of dolls stays out, then that means the little girl's gonna deal with one less year without marriage, or they push back a year that she can't find her love, which doesn't seem like much at first. Next day, the mother goes to work, tells the father, make sure you put away the dolls today. Father's like, okay. And then they paint and do a montage of the father. Father's not okay. Dad is like overwhelmed. He can't handle the kids. He passes out. Coon wants attention, and he starts like putting like goldfishes all over the baby's face, and he just flat out tells her, he's like, I don't like you, for me. Goes back into the to the yard, and the yard transforms again. Now it's like a kind of like a forest or a garden. And he meets an older girl who's like in high school, who has the same birthmark on her hand as his sister. And he puts it together that it's his sister from the future. And she's there, and she's like, you gotta help me. You need to help me. And he's like, what? He's like, we need to put away the dolls. And he's like, why does that matter? He's like, for every day it's out, that's the day I don't find my love. He's like, and are you in love with someone? Do you have a crush? She goes, no, I just don't want to take a chance. He's like, whatever, I don't like you. Until she tickles him. She teaches him the bee game to tickle him. And then he's like, okay, we'll do it. Which leads into a funny moment, because Yuko shows up as the man beast. And Yuko chimes in like he's going to help out too. So now it becomes like this little caper situation where they have to sneak around, grab the dolls, put them back, but in a certain way so that it would benefit the sister. And at the same time, not give a clue off to the father, who's still in the same room. So they have to run distractions, sneak around, all in order to do this. Everything goes well with some distractions here or there. Like at one point, one of the little wands from one of the dolls gets stuck to the dad's butt because he sat on it. So they have to try to sneak in to try to grab it. And they're like all trying to like tiptoe in unison. It's kind of cute. The sister thanks Coon and goes to leave, and she goes, are you cool with me? Do you like me now? And he goes, no, I don't. She's like, wow, and I was hoping that would work. Well, maybe next time. And she just leaves. The next experience with Coon has to deal with, he's being babysitted by his mother now. It's the one day that she has off. She decides that she wants to take care of babies, and the grandmother's coming to visit. Coon makes a mess. She's asking him to clean up. He's refusing. She gives him an ultimatum, like, listen, if you don't clean up, I'm gonna throw away all your toys. And like he dumps down more, and she's like, listen, if you really aren't gonna do this, I'm not gonna buy you anything else either. And he just starts crying and calling her a witch, and then all these other things, and just storms out. Mind you, in my mind, as I'm watching this, and I'll be honest, I have no kids, but don't try to call my bluff on this. I would throw those toys out. I would be like, none of them are coming back. It's happening. Well, I'll call my bluff, see how this goes. But that's just my side piece. He goes into fit before he leaves the room. He threatens to hit his sister, who by this point was named Mirai, which translates to future. And she scolds him again for that, and he leaves and goes into the yard. And at that moment when he goes into the yard, you hear like drops of water. You see his sister show up again, the future version, and she's upset. She's like, I thought mom told you not to try to hit me again. And he's like, I don't care, I don't like it. And he starts getting really emotional. He starts crying, and as he starts crying, fish floating in the air starts showing up, and he starts floating away. He runs past her, and it turns into a moment like he's swimming in the sea. And so like I consider that like a sea of tears, and there's all these fish around. And then he manifests on a rainy day out in the middle of the streets of a town, and he meets a little girl that's crying, and he sees the little girl, and he's asking her like, are you okay? And she stops crying. She goes, yeah, I'm fine. And he goes, are you sad? And she goes, nah, I just want to be sad enough to write this letter. I couldn't see what was the writing on the letter, but she wrote a letter. She takes him back to her place. She tells him on the way there that she's wanting a cat. She thinks her grandmother will get her a cat because she can work with her grandmother and her mom. She has a younger brother, but she believes everybody likes her better because her younger brother cries all the time and she doesn't. And when they get back to their house, she asks him, Gunnar, like, are you hungry? He goes, yeah. And she just dumps a bunch of food on the table, goes, eat up. And he's like, aren't you worried that you'll get in trouble? It'll make a mess. She's like, nah, everything's better with a mess. You go ahead, be messy. And they start messing about. They start dropping stuff around. They start partying in the house, like dropping stuff off the shelves and everything. And then all of a sudden, you hear like something at the door, and she's like, oh, it's my mom. She's like, you gotta go. You gotta go. She shoves him out the back door. The mom gets in the house, and you can instantly hear the scolding that's happening. She's being scolded, being yelled at, and it's the same exact words that were being said to Kun by his mom, but now it's being told to this girl. And he realizes like this is his mom from the past. He wakes up in the present and sees his mom next to him with a little bit of a tear on her face. But she's sleeping with Mirai. And he pets her head and he tells her it's going to be okay. Next moment focuses now with Kun and his dad. They go to the park. Kun is watching all the kids ride around their bicycles. He still has the training wheels on. And he tells his dad, he's like, take them off. And his dad's like, what, the training wheels? He's like, yeah, take them off now. He's like, right now? He's like, yeah, right now. I want to ride. So his dad does it. Now, I should mention, his dad seems like the nicest dude. I like his dad, and I feel like his dad doesn't get enough credit. He gets chewed out by the mom a lot. Although they do mention in the first go around, the dad wasn't really there that much because of work. But you can tell this man puts in the effort, and this man is nothing but love. He's taking a lot of punishment. So he does it. You see him trying to get Kun to ride on the two wheels, trying. And Mirai, his little sister, starts crying again. Mind you, they're at an open park. The mom's not there. Mirai's by herself in the stroller. And so he has to go check on Mirai. And he doesn't know what to do. And these other boys that are in the park roll up. And they're like, oh, go ahead, check on the little girl. We'll help him learn how to ride. They're not too old. They're just a little bit older than Kun. And he goes, thank you. And he runs over to this little girl. Now, in some cases, you might think, okay, these kids are going to probably tease him, bully him. No, they actually want to help learn how to ride a bicycle. And they're like, just follow us, kid, kick hard and just keep going. Kun admits he's scared, sees that his father's just doting over his sister, starts crying openly in public, and then starts yelling at his father how he hates him, how he doesn't want to do this anymore with him, and so forth like that. And again, he runs out the room, and then he goes into the field. If you're noticing a pattern, you know what's going to happen. Kun ends up somewhere else now. You know, he sees the tree, it blows for a brief moment, and then all of a sudden he hears like these loud engine noises and this big gust of wind. And then when he opens up his eyes, he's staring at an engine, just there, open engine. Turns around, there's a man working on a motorcycle behind him. The man, he's a little bit freaked out about this guy. He doesn't know who he is or recognize him. And the guy's like, you want to ride on the bike? He's like, all you have to do is ask. And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, come on. It's like, you never know until you try. He's like, is that true? He's like, that's technically how the saying goes. And as he's talking to a kid, they walk to a barn, and Kun sees a bunch of horses. He asks Kun, like, have you ever gone riding on a horse before? Kun goes, no. He's like, what? They straddle up with his horse. Kun's like, no, I'm good. He yanks Kun up, puts him on the saddle, and they start riding. And they just keep riding and riding And at first, Kun is not cool with it. Then he gets calm, and then boom, now he's like, let's really ride. And he starts galloping, and then pan over to another scene. You see Kun strapped to this guy's gut on a motorcycle, and he tells him, he's like, once you learn to ride, you can pretty much ride any. It's the same idea. You just keep going, and you can go anywhere from riding a horse to a bike to even a plane, but always look far into the distance, and like never let your fear hold you down. That kind of thing. And at times, Kun would refer to this man as his dad, or he'll call him dad. And the guy just goes with it. Kun wakes up, goes to his father. He goes, tomorrow. Puts his helmet on. He goes, we're riding. Next day, they're at the park. The father's watching him. Kun goes out to ride on the bicycle, falls. Gets back up. Goes to ride on the bicycle, falls again. Gets back up. Rule of 3 does not exist for this boy. He fell like several more times. But eventually, he remembers, keep looking into the distance. He starts riding, and he gets it. And the little boys that were there the day before, they remember, and they saw, and they all start cheering him on. And the father is super ecstatic for his son. He was there to witness his son conquer riding a bicycle. He's like, this is my son's day. This is all joy for him. The last major event that happens here now is arguably probably the most important one. Is Kun and his father are getting into a little bit of tiff, mostly Kun, because his father's like super nice dad, number 1 of the year. Kun doesn't want to leave because he doesn't have his favorite shorts. His father's like, just wear the blue shorts. The yellow shorts are in the dryer. They're still wet. He's like, no, I don't want to go. We're going to your grandparents. We're going to go camping. This is a time for family. We have no time to afford to just wait. He's like, no, I hate you guys. I don't want to go. Mother steps in. He gets pissed at her, calls her a witch, tells her, does the whole Home Alone thing. I hate you guys. I wish you'd disappear. I'll run away. You guys only care about Mirai. And he's like, starts running around the house and then realizes they're gone. He's like, fine, I hate you guys anyways. And he packs up his little backpack with a banana and a juice box. Because all kids know that that's all you need to get by in life. And sees the tree once more before he goes, because this is on the way out. Next thing you know, he's in an open field, sees a house in front of a train, or like a shack, and meets a boy there. The boy sitting at the bench tells him, you have let go of your family just because you couldn't wear your favorite pants. You had a chance to be with your family at a camp, spend memories with them, spend that time, and all for what? Because you were upset you couldn't wear your favorite thing. He's like, grow up, that's stupid. And Kun's like, no, you're stupid. And he's like, well, you want to be with your family? He's like, no, I don't. He's like, yes, you do. No, I don't. You can tell the immaturity of this grown kid who's a teenager. It's just not there. Because he's meeting Kun level. And then a train shows up, and he tells Kun, don't jump on. Kun, of course, jumps on. Kun shows up at a train station, looks like the world's busiest place, and he's obviously lost. He can't get on another train. He has no money, no tickets. He goes to Lost and Found because he doesn't know how to find his parents now. And the Lost and Found's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Kun. He's like, okay. Do you have something that you're looking for? He's like, no. He's like, well, this is Lost and Found. We can't do nothing for you if you got nothing. He goes, well, I'm lost. And he's like, well, that's different. And do you know like who to ask to look for you? He's like, my mommy. He goes, oh, cool. What's your mommy's name? And he goes, that's my mommy. And he goes, yeah, that does nothing. How about your father? And he's like, oh, that's my dad. Your father's name? Dad? We don't. And each time they're doing this, they interject like a buzzer, like the game show buzzer, like, each time. And it gets to a point where they just tell him, you know what? If you don't know who you are, and you're lost and you have no one to find you, you're going to have to take the black train. He's like, the black train? He's like, yeah, it's the black train that goes from the dark hole. And where does that go? It goes to the lonely place. And then all of a sudden the kid is like on the platform, right in front of the open platform with no one around him. This train that looks like a black dragon shows up and the door opens. This deep voice comes in and says, all passengers must board. And like he doesn't try to walk in, he gets pulled into the train that's like emitting red light from inside. And when he steps in, he sees that the chairs, which are like this way, the backs of the chairs turn around and face him, and they're like skulls sitting on the chairs as the headrest with the rib cages opened out. Obviously he's freaked out and he's trying to run off the train, and the voice that was saying passengers must board says, the only way that you don't go on this train is you need to know who you are. He's like, I do know who I am. He goes like, well, who's your mother? I was like, my mom is the woman that birthed me. Who's your dad? My dad is the man who takes care of me. He left his job so he could take care of our family. And Mirai. And they're like, you hate Mirai. Well, you know, that's, and he gets kind of flustered at that point. And then he hears a baby cry, and he turns over, and there's Mirai in the distance facing the entryway of the train. And then he runs over to Mirai trying to stop her. And just before she gets sucked into the train, he grabs her. And he cries out that he knows who he is. He's Mirai's big brother, Kun. And at that point, that's when, like, the train person recognizes that he knows who he is and summons his sister from the future. She grabs him. Basically, the baby and the sister from the future switched. I should mention that. But basically, she grabs him by the wrist, they fly up into the air, and then they start falling back down. But now the entire surroundings have changed. And they're falling back down, and they realize they're falling into the tree that's in their yard. And he goes, we're going to hit the tree. And she goes, no, that's the index for our family. It's quite literally the family tree. It's literally the family tree. And they explain that every moment in their family is captured by this tree. Every leaf, every branch, everything captured by this family tree. And as they're going through the tree, they'll see present, future, and past. And he sees, like, the past memories. He sees, like, when his father was a little boy who was weak and couldn't ride a bicycle. When his mother was crying from the fact that a stray cat killed a bird and that stopped her wanting a cat, to when his grandfather was injured in the Great War and gained a limp leg, but then raced his great-grandmother in order to win her heart, and she lost because she threw the race. You know, she literally stopped just so he had a chance. The sister explains everything that's happened, everything that's in the past from the family, from the great-grandparents to the grandparents to the parents to the now, is what makes us who we are. We're not just who we are based on ourselves. We're who we are based on our past and the past of others. If they never did the actions that they did, we would never exist. And then it pans off to the boy that you saw in the train station that Kun was talking to, looking at the tree, and future Mirai shows up there eating a banana, telling him, like, the parents are waiting for him. And he tells Mirai, he's like, don't be a savage, eat in the kitchen. And he walks off, and Mirai looks over, and she sees little Kun. And little Kun is like, future Mirai, and she goes, no, right now this is my present, and you're the past. And she tells him, you know who that was, don't you? And he goes, yes, I do. Like, you can tell there was a moment of realization. And then she's like, you gotta go home. He's like, oh, okay. Gets miraculously sent back home. And it ends with the parents talking to each other about, like, the past. And they're loading up their car and how much they care for the kids. And they really, the parents couldn't be who they are without their kids. And the mom calls out for Kun and his little sister, and he calls out in response. He's like, okay, we're gonna go. And the little sisters look at him. She starts hollering, he starts hollering back, but they're not in a bad way. They're like kind of like jokingly yelling at each other. And that's kind of where they cut off the movie right there. There's some scenes in the credits where they, you know, show's still working with the Kun and the kids as they're growing up and so forth. But basically it's the realization that family is important and there's going to be changes. Whether or not that you're going to have to realize that you're going to have to step up when that change happens, or you're going to have to learn to accept that change. It's there. And you have to acknowledge that the actions of the past is what really dictates your future at the same time. You can only control your present, absolutely, but you got to know your past. And you got to embrace that amongst your family. Those are the two biggest things. I thought it was a really touching story and really good. Now, short synopsis on this. Yes, I did enjoy the film. It's a touching film. And some points, I'm going to say, you're going to be annoyed as hell with the main character. I think that's the point they wanted. They want him to seem like a 4-year-old that was running out of control and that would easily get you pissed off too. Because, I mean, how can you think that this kid's getting in trouble if he's a cute kid all the time? He's a cute kid, but he starts trouble. The artwork style I actually enjoyed a lot. I really do like how they portrayed the styling of the nature, the overhead shots that they would do, transitioning from one scene to the other. I thought it was all good. The dialogue acting was actually really good in my eyes. That's what sold me about him being annoying and how much the parents will care. I did think the movie did feel slow or drawn out in certain areas, because as I was watching it, I didn't fall asleep, but there was times where I wanted to. All in all, I would say this is a 3 out of 5 Nerd Tots. I can passably say it could go to 4. depending on how you feel. If you like stuff like that, that's going to pay off in the long run to get you emotionally invested on that, it can push to a 4. For me, it's a 3. It didn't keep me hooked throughout the entire film. It gradually pulled me in, but that's a long drag. The movie is, again, like 98 minutes long. I could have easily done with, shortening it about another 10 minutes. That probably would have saved it a little bit better for me. But I think it's a solid 3 out of 5. And with that, I would say, if anything, this might make a good Thanksgiving film just because it focuses so heavily on family. There's not many animes that deal with Thanksgiving. Actually, I haven't found any yet, but I will search for one. But there's plenty that do deal with family, and I think this is a great example of a movie that focuses on family as a whole, and focuses on the siblings in that family, and focuses on the generations of families, present, past, and future, and what makes a family. When you first read the synopsis, you think it is about just the siblings, but it's so much more. On that note, thank you so very much for watching this video. If you liked my review, click that like button. If you like what we put to this channel, hit subscribe. I have plenty of more movies that I'm going to be reviewing and be putting up for the holiday season. And put a comment. If you've seen this before, let me know what you think. Is my rating fair? Do you think I should have adjusted it more? Tell me what you think below in the comments. Other than that, continue watching anime, expand your mind, be excellent.
Let's go!